Welcome to another edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me today in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Got a lot for you today. Of course, Super Tuesday today. Voters in 15 states will go to the polls with President Donald Trump furthering solidifying his position as the front runner for the nomination with a victory in North Dakota last night, earning 29 additional delegates in the North Dakota caucuses. There are 865 delegates up for grabs from states stretching from the East Coast to the West Coast today. More on that in just a moment. So assuming Nikki Haley loses today, as expected, what is her argument to stay in the race? Matt Lewis, writing for the Daily Beast, speculates on what that conversation could look like for Haley. I'll share that with you. Reactions from legal experts are pouring in after the Supreme Court voted unanimously in favor of former President Donald Trump against the effort to remove him from the Colorado ballot, alleging taking part in an insurrection. We got some breakdown and some analysis on yesterday's Supreme Court decision. A district court ruled Monday that the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, violated the First Amendment by attempting to force religious health care workers to provide gender transition procedures. We got the details on that, as well as you can join the conversation today on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can leave a quick voice message. Your emails are welcome at joey@joeyhudson.com.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
On our guest line this morning, Senator Tim Scott.
Thank you for listening to one of the best radio shows. Joey, God bless your leadership.
Joey, congratulations on your new show.
I just wanted to let you know that I always appreciate your perspective and your common sense approach to the issues.
You know what? If people like you keep telling us the truth, believe me, we're paying close attention.
Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
With voters going to the polls in 15 states today, President Donald Trump further solidified his position as the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination with a victory in North Dakota caucuses last night, earning an additional 29 delegates. This marks Trump's 9th win out of 10 primary races, showcasing his dominance in the GOP primary, bringing him closer to representing the party for a third time. Despite losing the primary in Washington, D.C., the swamp probably one that Trump didn't want to win anyway. His campaign's already focusing on the general election, anticipating a rematch against Joe Biden, with the commanding lead in delegates over his only remaining challenger, former UN ambassador, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Trump's campaign declared the primary race over. Haley says she's going to remain in the race. She's going to continue, and she's been out campaigning, spending millions of dollars over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, leading up to today's Super Tuesday. So here's what the candidates are facing today. Voters in 15 states will be casting ballots to determine the winner of 865 delegates up for grabs today. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, and Tennessee here in the South, Oklahoma, Texas, Utah, Vermont, and Virginia all will cast their votes. Some are proportional states, some are winner-take-all. So there's a lot of different ways that the numbers can shake out today. Alaska and Vermont will award all of their delegates to the winner of the primary. The rest of the states will allocate delegates proportionally based on the percentage of votes received by each candidate. Now, today's voters represent a diverse lineup of states in what is a crucial moment for Donald Trump, as he will most likely take a step closer to locking up the GOP primary race. There are a total of 2,429 delegates who will be traveling to Milwaukee, Wisconsin this summer, July 15th through the 18th. It takes 1,215 to win the nomination. Presently, Donald Trump has 273. Ron DeSantis, who won 9 in Iowa, I suspect will probably release his 9 to Trump when they get to the convention if needed. Vivek Ramaswamy won 3 in Iowa as well. I don't think there's any doubt. Those 3 will go to Trump. Nikki Haley so far has 43 delegates. She won the most in Washington, D.C., as she won 19 delegates from the swamp. Of course, Haley won 8 in Iowa, 9 in New Hampshire. She won 3 here in her home state of South Carolina, where she lost a race that had to be embarrassing when you can't lose the state who's elected you to the governor's mansion. Haley won 4 in Michigan, and of course, as I mentioned, her biggest win came this past weekend when she won the swamp. 19 delegates from Washington, D.C. There most likely will not be a clear winner even after today, but let's do some simple math here. Trump has been winning at the very minimum 60%. He has defeated Nikki Haley consistently at about 60-40. So let's just use those terms. In some cases, he's won a little more. She's won a little less. If he wins 60% in all the states today, he would pick up an additional 519 delegates. Haley, that would leave her with 346 additional delegates. So after today, the totals could be Trump with 792 and Haley with 389, and that's being generous with Nikki Haley. Now, it could be a late night tonight, as those of us on the East Coast will have to wait for some of the Midwestern states, and of course, California being 3 hours behind us before the polls will close for the biggest number of delegates today, 176 delegates up for grabs in California. So we could be up till midnight tonight, depending on how California goes. I'll be headed to North Carolina, possibly Tennessee. Who knows where I'll end up, as I'll be reporting for you tonight on the Salem News Channel along with Mike Gallagher and others. So be sure and go to snc.tv tonight and tune into the Mike Gallagher Show tomorrow, MikeOnline.com, or just download the Mike Gallagher Show app, and we'll have a full report for you tomorrow on the Mike Gallagher Show. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line. What do you think the results are going to be? And if it does end up similar to what I just predicted, if Trump ends up with close to 800 delegates today, again, if he wins his typical 60%, and some of these states I think he'll win more. Now, who knows what California is going to do? That's a big toss-up. But again, it takes 1,215 delegates to win the nomination this summer. Trump could have about 800 of those after today. So assuming Haley loses today, as expected, what's her argument to stay in the race? Matt Lewis, writing for the Daily Beast, speculates on what that conversation could look like. I'm going to share that with you in just a minute. First of all, let me talk with you about Furman Ford. Are you looking to buy a new vehicle? Maybe you need to buy a good used vehicle, a pre-owned vehicle that you can trust. Well, head to Lawrence and talk with my friends Jim and Matthew Furman. Furman Ford. What I love about them is they're locally owned, locally operated. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line with every single transaction. And I love to support local businesses like Furman Ford. And when it comes to getting your next vehicle, I hope you'll choose Furman Ford in Lawrence. They do business the right way. Give them a call, shoot them an email, just stop by, and you'll always have access to a member of the Furman family. They'll help you navigate all the deals they have. And hey, if you need service on your existing vehicle, whether you bought it at Furman Ford or not, and whether it's even a Ford, they service all vehicle makes and models. Furman Ford, they're not going to make you wait weeks to get that service either. Find them online at FurmanFord.com. That's FurmanFord.com. So let's just bear with me here for a minute, as I want to share with you an opinion piece that Matt Lewis wrote for the Daily Beast. Now, Matt Lewis isn't a big Trump fan, but I think he's realistically projecting or understands that Nikki Haley does not have a chance. He wrote an article titled, "What's Nikki Haley Should Say to the American People?" What Nikki Haley should say to the American people. He starts by saying, bar some stunning turn of events, Nikki Haley is about to be, as NBC News' Steve Kornacki warned, buried in a delegate avalanche by Donald Trump on Super Tuesday. Sure, Haley won the Washington, D.C. primary on Sunday, but based on the number of delegates being awarded on Tuesday, coupled with the fact that many states award them on a winner-take-all basis, it is about to become increasingly difficult for Haley to make a mathematical case for staying in the race, he writes. Indeed, the New York Times is already calling this Haley's last stand. Lewis writes, truth be told, since losing the New Hampshire primary in January, Haley's rationale for remaining in the race has been dubious. If she's to linger past Super Tuesday, she'll need better rationales. Luckily, I have some ideas, he says. Now, again, I don't know if he's writing this tongue-in-cheek or what. He says, first, there's the noble reason. By showing moral clarity, Haley is carrying the torch for millions of conservative Americans who believe in liberal democracy, fiscal accountability, a rules-based international order, and other boring things we used to call basic principles. He says by refusing to back down, she is courageously providing a beacon of hope for non-Trumpy conservatives, and she is establishing a beachhead or government in waiting in case Trump's hold on the GOP someday breaks and we finally get to say, told you so. Lewis writes, I'm obviously sympathetic to this beacon of hope idea. However remote the chance of it happening, it might be that the problem is that the audience this resonates with is already on board. For everyone else, this argument is esoteric and quixotic. As such, to round out her more romantic argument, Lewis writes in the Daily Beast, Haley will need to unveil a more pragmatic, if cynical, rationale. What I'm proposing is a bit radical. Haley should tell the truth about why, as an ambitious poll, she's compelled to stay in the race. Now let me stop here and offer my own editorial here, as we all know that Haley has had trouble with telling the truth, or at least backing up her promises, as she has made it very clear over the weekend on NBC's Meet the Press that she gives little credibility to that piece of paper that she signed, that document, that pledge, that agreement, that promise that she signed saying she would support the eventual nominee in order to get on the debate stage. Back to Lewis's Daily Beast article. He says, Haley's speech might go something like this. Some of you are asking why I'm running for president at this point, Haley could say, he says. The truth is that there is a non-trivial chance that Donald Trump will die or be physically impaired between now and November. This is not something I'm rooting for, but as Mitch McConnell recently said, Father Time remains undefeated. Lewis suggested Haley could say, actuarially speaking, the mortality rate for an obese 80-year-old man who gets little exercise, eats unhealthily, and under great stress presents a legitimate concern. Trump and Biden have already lived past their life expectancy in the U.S. To be honest, I'm not sure Donald should be buying green bananas, much less planning to be president. Lewis says, now, if this seems a bit harsh, it is. This speech would make Trump go ballistic. Then again, Haley has already invoked the age issue. She already called for mental competency tests for candidates over 75, which would apply to Joe Biden and Donald Trump. More recently, she questioned Trump's mental fitness after he confused her with Nancy Pelosi. Lewis writes, likewise, Trump is already attacking Haley for running against him and reneging on her RNC pledge to automatically support whomever the GOP nominates. And who could forget or forgive his attacks on Haley's husband, who is deployed in Africa with the National Guard? Is Haley ready to ratchet up her attacks to a higher level? If she wants to have a rationale for staying in the race, still a big if, he says, she will have to escalate things. So Lewis kind of wraps up his Daily Beast article by saying, next, Haley would pivot to the electability argument. He says, and because poll after poll shows I have better chance, and this is what he's suggesting that Haley could be saying, that poll after poll I have a better chance to beat Joe Biden. I'm running as an insurance policy, so to speak, and this policy doesn't just kick in if Trump becomes incapacitated due to health reasons. Here, Haley would continue to make the case that Republicans should want her, No, need her, he says, as an in case of emergency break glass plan B. This is to say, she wouldn't drop out for the good of the party. Instead, she would stay in for the party's own good. You think that's what Haley is really thinking here? You think she does think or believe that she's doing the party a favor by staying in? Lewis continues. Her hypothetical speech continues like this. Remember, Trump is also facing 91 criminal charges. To be sure, he hopes that he can get lucky and win the presidency before the convictions come. But there's a non-zero chance that the GOP will have nominated someone this summer who is then convicted of a crime before the November elections. In this scenario, Republicans won't have time to search for someone who can quickly be vetted, get up to speed on international and domestic policy issues, or raise money required to mount a national campaign. I will be the nominee in waiting, a backup quarterback, so to speak, who just happens to have a better chance of winning the big game than the aging quarterback. Lewis wraps up by saying there are a million reasons why Haley is the preferable GOP candidate to Trump, and Haley has already invoked many of these reasons. However, is Super Tuesday the way I think it's going to go? She's going to have to explicitly say some things that she has heretofore merely flirted with saying. She will have to use every single reason at her disposal to justify remaining in this race. 864-477-5639. You agree with Matt Lewis? Is there an argument? Or what do you think Nikki Haley's possible argument is? Is she the candidate in waiting? Is she just staying in the race because she wants to be the GOP's plan B in the event of an extreme emergency? If Donald Trump were to become ill? And look, Lewis is right. I mean, Trump he has more energy than I do, and I'm much younger than Trump. But as a guy who owned an insurance agency for 35 years, and as a guy who's very familiar with mortality tables, Donald Trump has outlived a lot of American men. Is that what Nikki Haley is counting on? Love to hear your input. 864-477-5639. Send me a quick note on the Furman Ford text line. Your voice messages are welcome. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. So reactions from legal experts are pouring in after the Supreme Court released its unanimous decision yesterday in favor of Donald Trump and against the effort to remove him from the Colorado ballot for allegedly taking part in an insurrection. I got all the details and some of the latest analysis on that. First, let me talk with you about losing weight. Speaking of getting healthy, PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition sure helped me over 3 years ago now when I lost 30 pounds. Been able to maintain that weight loss. You can too. And all you have to do to get started is call 864-252-4925, set up your initial consultation, and see if this program is right for you. If you're serious about losing weight, but more importantly, if you're serious about taking control over your health, then let me introduce you to Dr. Ashley Lucas and her wonderful team at PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. They have offices in Greenville, Asheville, Charlotte, Lake Norman, and if you live outside of the area, they can do the program with you virtually as well. I've had listeners in Pennsylvania, Alabama, all over who have successfully done the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition program. You can too. 864-252-4925. If you don't have a pen and pencil, pause the podcast. What I love about the podcast, you can pause it. Go get you a pencil, piece of paper, write this number down, 864-252-4925. Set up your consultation and get started today. And I promise you, in just a matter of weeks, you'll be calling me, emailing me, texting me saying, hey, Joey, thank you for that. I've lost 10 pounds. I've lost 20 pounds. I've lost 30 pounds. And in months to come, as some of my listeners have talked about, you could lose 100, 135 pounds. You can be healthy again. Find them online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. A lot of celebration yesterday. Donald Trump, one of the happiest guys in America after the Supreme Court issued their opinion on the Colorado Supreme Court's decision to remove him from the ballot. And this will have ramifications beyond Colorado, of course. A lot of legal analysts weighing in. George Washington law professor Jonathan Turley said on Fox News immediately after the decision was read that the court showed a divided nation that we remain bound by shared constitutional values.
Well, I've just been reading the opinion. It's obviously sweeping. There aren't any real dissents, so it does look like it is unanimous, at least on the result. What they have a disagreement on is whether the court had to go as far as it did. Now, the most practical result of this is that the voters will be able to vote for the candidate that they prefer. This was a critical moment for this court in history. After all of the years we have spent in this republic, we came to a point where these states claimed that they could unilaterally bar the leading presidential candidate from ballots to prevent people from voting for Donald Trump. The court here spoke with a strong, and it appears unanimous voice, at least on the result, that that's not going to happen, that voters will vote. They'll make their own verdict, regardless of what happens in cases involving President Trump. They will cast the most important verdict of all. They will vote for the next president of the United States.
Judicial Network President Kerry Severino posted on X, "So much for the long list of people who weighed in on the case to declare that Colorado's position was the only constitutionally acceptable one, and suggesting that any idiot could see that. Obviously, they were not making legal arguments, but political ones." Ilya Shapiro, director of constitutional studies at the Manhattan Institute, told Fox News that the unanimous Supreme Court got it right. Writing states can create a patchwork of ways for disqualifying candidates for federal office. There's disagreement among the justices about which federal actors can do so, and according to which procedures, so perhaps it would be a good idea for Congress to clarify these issues by enacting a new version of the Enforcement Act of 1870. The Heritage Foundation legal fellows Hans von Paskaski, I've had Hans on the show many times over the years, and Charles Stimson wrote in their press release, "The Supreme Court justices brought order to what could have become a chaotic election season by shutting down this partisan, anti-democratic, and unconstitutional effort in Colorado. They found a combination of constitutional grounds that resolves this case and that explains why the Colorado court got it wrong." National Review columnist and legal analyst Andy McCarthy agreed with Jonathan Turley's assessment of the decision, but added some of his own commentary of why the more progressive justices agreed with the conservative majority.
I think Jonathan is right about the bottom line sweeping 9-0 decision with respect to the states, but I think that this case is actually a 5-4 case on what may be the most important decision. If I'm reading this right, what they're saying is that Section 3 cannot be enforced unless Congress legislates through Section 5 of the 14th Amendment, which it has done in enacting a criminal statute, which would allow someone to be convicted of insurrection. What I gleaned from this is that they're saying that in the next January 6th, the next time that Congress is called on to ratify an election result, that Congress cannot use Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to try to deny Donald Trump the presidency if he wins the presidential election, which is pretty momentous. And it looks to me like Justice Barrett and the three progressives on the court are unhappy that the court reached out and decided that.
In the end, all 9 justices ruled in favor of the Trump case, which will impact the status of efforts in several other states to remove the likely GOP nominee, like Illinois and Maine, I guess. The court considered for the first time the meaning and reach of Article 3 of the 14th Amendment, which bars former office holders who engaged in insurrection from holding public office again. Challenges have been filed to remove Trump from the 2024 ballot in over 30 states. This will clarify that. And the decision, the court wrote, we conclude that states may disqualify persons holding or attempting to hold state office, they said, but states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially the presidency. Trump said immediately following the ruling, a great win for America, very, very important. He went on to say equally important for our country would be the decision that they will soon make on immunity for a president, without which the presidency would be relegated to nothing more than a ceremonial position, which is far from what the founders intended. Trump told Fox News, no president would be able to properly and effectively function without complete and total immunity. He added, our country would be put at great risk. They got it right, didn't they? The court got it right. Your response, 864-477-5639. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line. On the Furman Ford text line, Ray writes, welcome home. The prayers for your safety were answered. Yes, they were, Ray. Thank you. I appreciate that. He says, I wish you would think about the fair tax as a solution to our IRS problems. To completely understand it, one must read the Fair Tax book by Neil Bortz. I love our 47th president. However, some of his advisors have told him the same lies that the Democrats bring out. This will raise everyone's tax by 23% every time this comes up. It does not, Ray writes. The professional politicians hate it because it takes away much of their power. Maybe after we elect him, we can try to convince him to objectively reconsider the fair tax. What do you think about the fair tax? I'd love to get your comments on that. There's got to be an easier way than our present tax code, doesn't there? Faye says, Nikki is the perfect Democrat. Everybody else is wrong but her. I think she's nuts already. She thinks Trump is too old, but when she reaches his age, she won't begin to have his sharp mental capacity. Nikki, pack your bags, but don't return to South Carolina. You are an embarrassment. Joey, we're happy for your safe return to South Carolina to help fight the health czar. Thank you, Faye. And yeah, we're going to talk about this whole health czar thing in more detail at some point. Texter writes, good morning, Joey. Sick of her voice, sick of her lies, sick of her. She wouldn't mind lying about other things if she can so easily dismiss the pledge. I'm assuming you're talking about Nikki Haley. Jeff writes, January 6th was nothing but a beaks about the Democrats and the FBI. They put people in the crowd to get the people up to do what they did. Paul says, Haley's pledge, she'll do whatever it takes for her to win. She's a loser and a liar. Texter on the Furman Ford text line, why do you make us suffer with listening to the quitter throw a tantrum? I can't believe she thinks she has a chance of being president. Boy, I tell you, you folks aren't very big fans of Nikki Haley, are you? Kathy says, best title yet. Trump campaign says Nikki Haley was crowned queen of the swamp. And Kathy included a link and an image of that headline. Carol says, welcome back to Stateside. Programming from Israel was amazing. Thank you for the updates and an opportunity of supporting the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Well, thank you, Carol, and I hope you did support them, and you still have the opportunity of supporting them as well. My buddy Mike Gallagher and I, throughout the month of March, we're asking you to support the fellowship, and I'm going to be sharing with you additional stories from Israel. What an amazing trip that was, and the people of Israel are just amazing as well. So you can go to my website, joeyhudson.com, click on the banner that will allow you to support the fellowship, the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. More on that a little bit later. Our text of encouragement today, I can't change the direction of the wind, but I can adjust my sails to always reach my destination. Thank you for that. And by the way, our encourager, Joel, says, God bless you. Love to y'all. Keep telling just the truth. Joel, a true man of God. Although I cannot drive due to the law for 6 months because of the seizures, I can talk and walk again with a walker and getting stronger every day. I thank this to God, you, and all your listeners' prayers. God bless you and your family. Keep up the excellent show. Thank you, Joel. Appreciate you listening. A district court ruled yesterday that the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, violated the First Amendment by attempting to force religious healthcare workers to provide gender transition procedures. Did you get up this morning and the refrigerator light didn't come on when you opened the door? You always know that's a bad feeling, don't you? I had that feeling a few weeks ago. My first call was to Discounted Appliance Warehouse because I purchased the refrigerator from them several years ago. Johnny and his award-winning service team, they were ready to come out, and it didn't take him very long to find my problem and to take care of it. And this is how you're treated when you purchase your appliances from Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you replacing a broken appliance? Or maybe you're upgrading the entire kitchen. You're remodeling the kitchen and you're ready for new appliances, and you don't want to have to wait weeks or months to start using those. You don't have to when you shop with Discounted Appliance Warehouse. And you know they're always going to take good care of you. Unfortunately, appliances don't last forever. Discounted Appliance Warehouse will provide the service that you need. They've got you covered well after the sale. That's because you're more than just a credit card swipe to the team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Let me encourage you to run over to Pickens if you're in, if you need a new appliance, whether it's a refrigerator, washer and dryer, stove, dishwasher, microwave, whatever it is. Find them online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. So here's the story. In 2021, the Christian Employers Alliance, known as the CEA, filed a lawsuit against the EEOC over two mandates requiring religious employers to provide health insurance that covered gender transitions, as well as forcing religious physicians to perform sex change procedures or face charges of discrimination based on gender identity. The District Court of North Dakota ruled in favor of the CEA, arguing that the rules would violate an employer's or doctor's religious beliefs. Another win for religious beliefs, thank goodness. Shannon Royce, president of CEA, said in a press release, "We are overjoyed that our members will not have to choose between the biblically based employee benefits and quality health care they provide and the threat of federal enforcement and massive costs for practicing their faith." The Alliance Defending Freedom, which represented the CEA, argued that not only did the mandates require employers and doctors to cover and perform sex change procedures, but it also demanded that they speak positively of them even if they objected. The court, however, prohibited the EEOC from interpreting Title VII, which relates to discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, to withhold funding because of an employer or doctor's religious objections to sex change medical procedures. Matt Bowman, senior counsel for ADF, said in the press release, "By misinterpreting and improperly enforcing federal law, President Biden has far overreached his constitutional authority to the detriment of people of faith across our country. The government cannot force Christian employers to pay for or physically perform harmful medical procedures that contradict their religious beliefs. The Constitution protects religious health care providers and employers and allows them to go about their work in a manner compatible with their deeply held convictions and faith." The EEOC did not respond immediately to the Daily Caller News Foundation's request for comment. The good guys win again. Thank goodness. Thank God. Answer to prayer. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Appreciate you joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Please join my mailing list. Just go to my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Just search for Joey Hudson. I'm going to be having a lot of my video and some of the stories that I was able to hear in Israel that I'll be posting in the coming weeks on that YouTube channel. You don't want to miss it. So go to YouTube, search for Joey Hudson. Be sure and subscribe. Click on the notifications so that you get the notification when I post some of the new chapters. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Keep your comments coming on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Keep those emails coming too, joey@joeyhudson.com. Back again tomorrow. We'll have some results of Super Tuesday. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control.